a certain arrangement with them already. Okay. So as I've been saying, it says in practical terms, a bareboat charter is used as a method of financing the acquisition of newly constructed ships. Sometimes the person, the ship owner or the prospective ship owner hasn't got money of his own. The ship owner hasn't got money of his own to buy a new ship, but the prospective ship owner has money, and so he decides to get a new ship and use it. It's not only new ships that they use. Sometimes it's an old ship, but it fits the purpose for which the charterer wants it, and therefore he takes it and uses it as such. Okay. He says sometimes the charterer has the option to buy the ship afterwards. After a certain period of time, he can come to some arrangement with the ship owner and buy the ship off him. Arrangement, I've explained that. It's giving you typical features of that. It says it's a hybrid between time and voyage charter, because the vessel will be moving the cargoes from point A to point B, but the name of the vessel will not be included. Whereas in a voyage charter, the name of the vessel has to appear. Okay. In a time charter, the name of the vessel would appear. But in a contract of affreightment, no vessel will be named, just a description of the vessel. So the ship owner will choose any of his vessels that fits the description the charterer wants, and also he will place a vessel or another one which fits that bill at the disposal of the charterer as and when the cargoes are ready. And as I said, you find this a lot in coastal shipping, and also in shipping where for example, a factory is situated elsewhere and the production source is also somewhere else. So at certain regular intervals, the factory owners would want the goods, that is the resource materials, to be shipped down for the production, like what happens with the Nestle and Lever Brothers. They are always importing some commodities that they use in their production lines from abroad, so they will enter into such an arrangement with a ship owner. So the essential conditions of a charter contract is the vital or importance to the engagement for which the charter may or may not be considered to be concluded. In both voyage and time charter, the ship owner's name would appear, the ship's name and particulars, the lay days, cancelling day for delivery, charter party form, and then the commission. You know, the brokers, when they finish their work, you have to pay them the broker's commission, and it will always appear on the form how much you are going to pay them. It usually ranges between 2.5% to 5% of the net sum. Okay. That is after all deductions have been made for cost. Then the remaining money, you have to pay him that percentage. So it's quite a juicy job. That is if you're able to get the fixtures. Okay. Then for the voyage charter, this one is only restricted to voyage charter. The cargo quantity and the description of the commodity, the loading and discharging ports and berths, the loading and discharging rates and terms, the demurrage and dispatch, the freight and payment conditions. But with the time charter, the place of delivery and redelivery, the intended trade with geographical limits and other trading limits, and then the bunkers on board on delivery and redelivery, and then the high conditions for high payment, how much he's going to pay, and so on. Then we have the basis for a contract of affreightment. So the typical contract of affreightment would go like this. The owner undertakes to carry between X and Y tons of grain from A and B during the year so and so. Or the owner undertakes to carry all cargo shipped by the charterer from loading port A to the destination B during the period from this to that. So after that, then the ship goes its own way to pay. Or the owner has the right to carry all crude oil imported by the charterer during X and Y years. The owner has a right and obligation to carry all vehicles exported by the charterer during the period X, Y years, and the charterer is to guarantee that he or she will have at least 5 shipments per year, each consisting of X to Y number of vehicles. So these are some of the terms you see in the contract of affreightment. Look at the gross, net, and fee on board. Okay. This one is a bit tiny. I hope you can see. It says the charter terms you might find for voyage charters will be the gross charter, the net charter, the free on board charter. In these cases, the charter rate is the freight rate of a charter contract in US dollars. Most of the time, all the business is done in US dollars. Okay, all charter rates include depreciation of the ship, cost for crew, bunker, and administration, and depending on the charter term, port-related costs and loading and unloading costs may or may not be included. Sometimes they can agree not to include the loading port cost in it, in which case the freight will be lower. Okay. So the gross charter includes all the voyage freight, including all port-related loading and unloading costs, whereas the net charter is the charter rate that does not include loading and unloading or port-related costs during the time of the time period of the presentation of notice of readiness for loading until the end of loading. It says the net charter is advantageous for ship owners in case the port conditions are not known. So where you do not know what exists in the port, it's always better as a ship owner to opt for the net rates. Okay, because then whatever happens is none of your business. The charterer is going to take care of that. So when you are if you are a broker, you should be aware of this and conclude arrangements based on that. Okay. The free in and out of free in or out, as they say in it, is a charter rate that does not include loading and unloading costs. The charterer is responsible for that. Sometimes they have free in and out stowed, free in and out trimmed, which would mean if it is stowed, it means that the ship owner pays no loading, unloading, or stowing costs. Stowing is when they are arranging the cargoes within the ship. So if the charter term says free in and out stowed, it means that the charterer will be paying for all those costs of loading, unloading, and then stowing of the cargo. If it is free in and out trimmed, it means that the trimming of the cargo, when they carry these bulk cargoes, sometimes the way they pour it in, it might not be exactly level, but the demands of shipping and stability of the ships require that the cargo is trimmed level, okay, so that it doesn't shift in the seaway and cause the vessel to capsize. So sometimes when they finish, they have to get men to push them and level it and smoothing the surface. And then we have ways of securing the surface after that has been done. So if it includes the trimming, then the ship owner would not pay for that as well. This one is just for information. You can read it later on. So there will be the investigation stage where they are trying to find out how to get the business started. The negotiations is when the two, if they have two brokers, they'll sit down and negotiate, or sometimes one broker straddling between the two. Then you have the follow-up where they would add additional matters and any other thing that had been left out during the conclusion of the contract. So that is the shipping services, which comprises the liner shipping, and the tramp shipping is the chartering shipping. Tariffs. That is what goes into the calculation of the tariffs. What do they consider? Okay. How do they come to the conclusion that, for example, if you are going to carry coal, you should charge so much. But if you are going to carry grain, you should charge this. What are the considerations in arriving at that decision as to how much should be charged? Okay. As a rule of thumb, the freight is about between 10 to 12% of the value of the goods. It's just when we say rule of thumb, it's not concrete, but roughly speaking, it falls between 10 to 12%. So if you are shipping something and the value of that cargo is, let's say, $200, then you should expect to pay a minimum of, let's say, $20, between $20 to $24 for that item as freight. Okay, so roughly that is how it works out. But there are other factors that come in. This is just a rough estimate, but there are other things that will come in, okay, that would either increase or decrease